Alright, so I'm back, and I actually went and made the whole video and then the flipping video recorder crashed, so I'm gonna have to show you what I did without retyping it because really I couldn't be stuffed. Sorry. So we're up to this receiving packets and determining what we were gonna do. So you'll see these cases. Remember, these cases, ID, player, strafe, player move, are defined in custom network enum. So I made those here in the server. Now, what I did after that was so basically I just made an integer in each, so int move, int strafe, int turn, so id for turning, strafing, moving. And first thing you write is, we're reading here, so we read in we ignore the type ID, we've already used it. We read the move number, and we read the network ID. Now here's where it gets a bit different. You would not have done this before in any of my previous tutorials, is how do we get the object from the player network ID? Well, we have to use the network ID manager, which we set when we spawn the player. So we go network ID manager dot get object from ID, and here in these parentheses here, these arrows are, it's the type of object, so the class. From the class player with network ID, player network ID, which we read here. And then we can just use it as if it is that object, and you know, get the variables or whatever functions from it. You can call functions like that. And we just want to change a variable, and so that equals move, what we just received. Now this is the advantage of sending key presses rather. So but we haven't called a function to move anything, because that's been called all the time. We've called a function to, and we've changed these move things. Basically, tell your program what keys are being pressed, basically, by the other player. So yeah, that's the server. So so that's the reading. Now, because this is a server, we always have to relay the information, as I've said before. So we'll just rewrite this information exactly as we got it, and we'll relay it back out to everyone. So we set the type ID to ID move players. We write the type ID. We write the move variable, which is the key press, whatever it is. So it'll be 1, -1, or 0. And we write, oh flip, what have I done here? Right. Didn't even notice that. And we write all this information. See, I didn't notice this when I tested it because there's only one client and one server. So, lucky I came across this actually. Oops, not that one. So, anyway, we write the play move, and then we write play network ID, and then we just send it to everyone. We broadcast it to everyone except, sorry, I've made another mistake here. We don't want to broadcast it to everyone but ourselves. We want to broadcast it to everyone but the person that we got the information from. So P, which is our packet, as defined at the beginning of this function. System address. So we're going to broadcast it to everyone except, it's true that we're going to broadcast it to everyone except the person we got it from. So yeah, that's it. And it's the same for strafe and turn. The only difference is you change the variables to strafe and turn, etc. We're just going to have to change the, see, I've got to fix these up now. Right and right. Right. And we'll change unassigned system address and all the sends to P system address. Then that's all done. Okay, so that's pretty simple. You should be able to figure out. The only thing new here that everything here you've seen before. The only thing new is this get object from ID, and it's very important. You have to use it if you're going to move players, manipulate players over a network. Spawning and stuff, you don't need it. Text messages, you don't need it, but this you do. So that's it for that. So let's move on from there. I think that was the last thing that I had to do on the server. I can't remember because I freaking stupid deleted everything. So let's quickly go over to the client and I'll show you basically what I've done there. I'm going to move my server over to my other screen because I'm dual screening at the moment. And I'm going to find my client. There's my client. Okay, so I'll just go through what I did here. It should be easy to follow. So player.cpp and player.h. I just went to my server and I copied them exactly. No difference whatsoever. You don't have to change it at all. Okay, just copy them straight from your server and client one, the server one, to the client one. Okay. Next thing we have to do is in our client.h we have to make update network keyboard, just like in the server, exactly the same. We also have to make a variable called netLoaded. Now I forgot to do this last time, so just I should have done it in the last tutorial. So just make a boolean called netLoaded while we're here. Then in our client cpp.cpp we want to define that function a bit more. Let's go down to it here. Update network keyboard. Now this what I want you to do for the client is I want you to go to your server, right? Your server.cpp, find your update network keyboard, and I want you to just select it all and copy the whole thing, paste it into your client, and just change the words server to client at the beginning, and your client.send and client.send here. Okay, so once you've done that, you're done for that. It's easy as that. Really simple. The only difference is here, this gave me a little tiny headache, not really, but I did have to figure it out. Sorry, I'm in the wrong one. Oh, sorry, that's my game. Forget that. Ignore that completely. Where is it? Okay, here. Server. You'll notice that we had netLoaded, if netLoaded equals true and spawned equals true. And that covers in the server, where am I? That covers everything, including this for loop. In the client, it mustn't do this for loop because that means that it won't update the players unless the player, that player himself has spawned. So we want to exclude that from this if statement of if netLoaded equals true and spawned equals true. Okay, so just move this parenthesis. It was over here, over about here, but you just want to move it to here, so it's not included in that if statement. Very important. Now before I go further, I'll explain a bit more about netLoaded. You don't want to do anything until all the players are loaded into the game, and I don't know why I didn't show you this in the last one, but you got to go to your packet reading, go to your load current players, and add netLoaded equals true at the bottom of it. So it'll only equal true once it's loaded everything. And of course we want to define it at the beginning as netLoaded equals false to begin with. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go to our main file, and we're just going to call every frame, going to go to every frame just like the server, exactly the same. We're going to call client update network keyboard, so that it updates that every time. We'll go back to our client and onto our last step. Now it's a bit of a copy paste from the server once more. We go to our big switch case. Remember, it doesn't have to be like this. This switch case is too huge. If I was you, I would break it up into functions or learn Rick's way of doing it. I don't understand that way, and so I'm just not going to bother for now. Someone would have to really explain that to me, but I'm sure you'd be able to. A lot of people that are smarter than me as far as programming is concerned. But I would just put it in separate functions and something like that. So we'll go to, okay, our ID move player, ID strafe, and ID turn. You'll notice that it's pretty much exactly the same as the server. So we're in the server, sorry, wrong one once again. Here we go. We'll go down our packets. It's pretty much exactly the same as our server, except I've copied it and I've deleted this part. We don't need to relay the information. We just need to read it and act on it. So you can see we've read the information, we act on it. We don't need to send it like in the server. Okay, exactly the same as the server, just don't relay the information in a client. And that's it, folks. One thing that I did find, that if you're using my .cpp files and whatnot, you'll find that okay, after I tested this in the first video I made, that which crashed, it everything would spawn on the server, and you could control things on the server from the client, but nothing would spawn on the client. Well, that wasn't actually the case. The thing is that when I changed to a character controller instead of using boxes with mesh bodies, I didn't have debug physics on in the client. So just make sure you put that on, otherwise it'll give you a bit of headache. I'll show you how it works, and after that, okay, let's just open them both up. Let's start with the server, and then let's go to the client. Oh. Got plenty of time. Okay, so I'm going to spawn something on the server. There it is, spawn on the client. We can move it around, whatnot, yada yada. Mind you, it's really slow at the moment because I haven't set up the character controller properly. I'll let you worry about that. This is a tutorial about networking in Leadwerks, not particularly how to make character controllers. I usually use my own character controller anyway. I've also, I think I've gone off the edge. No, there I am. I've also mixed up my strafe left and right. See, this is actually left I'm pressing, but you know, that's just a tweak. You could go back and fix that easy. Backwards, forwards. Turning isn't working for some reason. Don't know why. But yeah, so let's spawn one on the client. Client spawns. Play around with that. Go on the server, move the server. It's pretty in sync, but you'll notice that the more lag, the more out of sync it'll get. And so, but I still think it's better to do it this way with the key presses rather than update the position every single frame. How I like to do it is I like to use the key presses and relay the key presses over the server, and then on the end of every key press you update the position, right? And you also update the position and rotation, or yada yada, like at every certain time interval. That way it'll make minor tiny adjustments so that you probably won't be able to notice, but in the long run it'll make a big difference. So like the longer you go, the more out of sync things will get. So if you're constantly making small adjustments every second, every time you stop doing a movement, you won't notice all the small adjustments at all. So I don't know why the turn's not working. It's probably just because I'm a noob with character controllers, but let's just go have a quick look, see if it's not something obvious. I'll pause it. Right, just to test this out, I've gone to character control and times everything by 10. Just, why not? And I'll do that here as well quickly. Don't know if that's the problem or what, but who cares. I'm not really concerned about that. You get the idea of how to relay information over so you can move things now. So I'm not going to elaborate on it too much. Bugger, I started the client first. Oh no, it worked. It connected. Okay, so why isn't my turning working? Yeah, no, that obviously didn't do anything. Turning. That's the client server. Okay. Update player turn equals 0 to start off with. Server.cpp. A and D. Huh. I don't know why, but you know, whatever. You should be able to figure it out if you're an expert on character controllers. I think it's just something stupid I've done, but you get the idea. So, good luck. Hope you enjoyed the video. Next time we'll go into that adjusting that I was talking about, and yeah, have fun.